Hello, my name is Cynthia James and I'm artist owner of Artefactz. And we're taking a little day journey to my home where I do most of the creating for my large sculptures. And I just wanted to point out that I absolutely love this area, Texas and especially Granbury, and this beautiful lake and surrounding areas where I get so much of my inspiration. Normally you have been watching me do a lot of my jewelry work, but my sculptural work is done here at my home, where I live with my mother, Jo James. And I actually do those sculptures out of a garden shed. So this is not like Hollywood, where we're on a sound stage and everything's cleaned up and tidy. So you're going to have to bear with me because some of my workspace is a little messy, though I have spent the last 4 or 5 hours in the last 2 months when it was 109 degrees to get it cool enough for me to actually build these sculptures. So I want to show you off the lake, the mountain, although it's a small hill in Texas, and my mother sitting to the side, so you'll get a little glimpse of her as well. So come join me and we'll start building sculptures. Well, welcome to my indoor shop. This is where I do all of my large sculptures, small, medium, big installations, etc. And this, however, used to be my father's garden shed. So you can see I took over. My mother actually only has a small section over there, and even in the winter it gets filled up. One of my favorite shapes is circles. And one of the first large, and I mean I'm talking 6-foot by 20-foot ideas that I had, and is to do a whole series of circular sculptures going up the wall. Now, I've only been doing the glass in its entirety for about 10 years now. So that means that I have a lot of practice to do before I ever complete something on such a massive scale, where I am so thoroughly excited about the whole thing that it means that right now I'm still doing a lot of practice. Now, people that own my work already, they tell me all the time that I've done enough practice. But I know that for me, it will be hundreds and hundreds of plates now before I actually consider myself really, really talented at this. However, for a start, for those of you that are needing beginner work, this is where I am right now. I am going to be taking a large sheet of bullseye glass. This is iridized, and I finally purchased a very nice, very expensive circle cutter, and I will tell you that it was really one of the best decisions that I ever made. Had to sell a lot of jewelry before I could buy this. Now, first off, as I've told you on many, many occasions, you really do need to make sure that you're using your safety precautions, i.e. I have a cover over my clothes. I am going to get my hair out of my face, and I'm going to use safety goggles. And sometimes I have to take my glasses off to use them. Now, I happen to have a very nice T-square here, and I've already pre-measured my form, and this is about a 17-inch mold, a slump mold, but I'm only going to cut the glass to about 14.5 inches. So I'm going to set this over to the side, right there. That's one of the reasons why I would like a bigger shop. But I bought the shop Artefactz instead. So we've been making big sculptures out of here for a long time. And we're going to continue on. Okay, I'm going to slip over here. And these are the different cutting tools, marking pens, etc. that you see me work with on the smaller jewelry. And you know you can always call the shop and I'll be happy to help you through anything. I'm going to want to give myself about 2 inches on either side, so I'm actually going to cut this at about 19 degrees. And this is not my final shape, so I don't have to do anything but a rough cut. And you can see that my cutter took over my workspace, but I just do it on top of it. Now, my only issue here is I would like to be 2 or 3 inches taller, but I make do with the best I have. You need a nice firm cut, and you can hear it. It moved a little bit, but as I said, this is my rough cut. And we'll see, sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. In that case, yay! I got 2 working pieces. So, And now I'm actually going to look. This is iridized glass, and you're not going to be able to see it, I don't think. But the colors on this glass actually are more intense right in here and right in here. And since I'm doing a circle, I can determine if I want this flat area to be in the middle, whether I want to be at 3/4. So I'm actually going to be making that as a decision. And then I'm going to come back here and align my cutter blade. No, right. And I'm going to do it at the 7.5. Make sure I have a good, tools aren't in the way, my board is flat. And so now I'm going to look to see, and I still want a little bit of edge here. And this one is not, my blade here is not tight, it's not straight, so I'm going to turn it a little bit. And the one thing that is most important is you do need a little bit of oil. And my mother just indicated earlier as we were setting this up that it looked a bit messy, but hey, there was my tool. So now you can see I'm really now artistically thinking, where do I want these quarters? Where is my circle going to be cutting? Have I allowed myself enough room so that I have a break? Now, the most difficult part that I have for this is that I still feel like I'm not quite tall enough, which means that I could actually lower the table, but as I said, you only have the smallest space and you've got to get it to work for you. There we go. But I have to take this and press it down and in a very uniform way go all the way around and not make any change in this to get a perfect circle. I've done this a number of times and gotten beautiful circles. I've done it a number of times where it cuts in half, and this is what happens when that takes place. So these will now be turned into other sculptures, just not the circles that I had wanted them to. So here goes. You don't want it to shift right here at the very end. And overall, I'm a little stronger over here. When it gets over here, I'm a little weaker. So now we're going to see how this is going to have taken place. You can use the back of this tool to help guide, because the glass will break where that line is. And I will say the last time that I showed off how to do this for someone that I'm hoping is taller and stronger is going to help me cut these out. I did it perfectly, and then he cut out, I think, 6 perfect circles. So then I can start concentrating on the circles and not so much concentrating on just cutting them. And I'm actually able to see the circle just slightly, and it's slowly but surely breaking. So I know it's actually breaking more where I really cut it firmly. I also don't want to scratch this surface because it's beautiful as it is. Okay, the next step, now that I've tapped it, and I may continue to tap it, but I try to find the line, and I go to a certain area, and then I work my way off. And I work my way off. And one of these days I'd like to be able to actually drop a circle out of here without having to cut all these, so I have a circle within a circle, but I haven't made it there. Okay, so now we're going to try to find which one of these is going to start breaking through. I've done this a lot in front of people, but never where I'm being filmed. It's a little nerve-wracking. And what I'm doing there is, there was the seam that was where I was the weakest, and so I'm trying to get it to come through a little bit more. Oop, well, and that's what can happen. And I probably got a little too anxious from being filmed, but the nice thing about this is that the one thing I have learned is that I am highly creative. And there's still 3/4 of this sheet that's absolutely beautiful. So I will just take this, cut that off so I forget that this was ever supposed to be any other thing than this shape to begin with. And later, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because I'm now on the way to doing a number of sculptures because the weather is so absolutely fabulous, this will become a sculpture in some other part, or maybe another part of a circle. So right now I want to take you to another piece of equipment that kind of grinds and shapes the glass so that I can just up the ante for those of you that are beginners.